Okay, Japan retirees or retiree wannabes, or just folks that want to move to Japan, I'm going to go over something that I'm doing right now that's really important for this overall process. Making sure that you can access your important internet and both financial and standard internet accounts after the move. Of critical importance is to make sure that you have access through two-factor authentication, including the use of Authenticator apps. I made this mistake before when we moved from Japan back to the United States in 2014. I didn't set all this up, and as a result, I was left in a real pickle with some of my accounts, not able to access them with the applications trying to send their authentication codes back to my Japanese phone number, which was no longer in use. Luckily, I was able to save all my accounts and not get locked out of stuff. I don't know how that happened, but how I was able to get past that. Learned that lesson. So here's what I did for coming back to Japan. The first thing I did was I created lists, two lists. The first list is a list of all of my internet accounts. It's a long, extensive list of absolutely everything. Fortunately, I had a head start at that. I've been doing that for years just to manage my passwords. So I had a pretty good extensive list. I just went through and cleaned it up. The second, and for me the most important list, was the list of my financial accounts, all the banking institutions that I have, all their access information, et cetera, et cetera. And then I added a new column to each of those, and that column was specified ready. And I spent about 2 days going through each list in turn, logging into each of those accounts, and checking out however they were set up, what phone numbers they were using, if Authenticator app of some sort was used, etc. And then what I did was, before I started that process, I went through and I deleted all the Authenticator apps on my phone, just starting from scratch. And I picked an app to use, and I said, that's going to be my Authenticator app. And starting from scratch, and I did them categorically. I began going through everything and updating primarily for the Authenticator app, to use the Authenticator, because I didn't have a Japanese phone number yet. I couldn't tell them what the new phone number would be for two-factor authentication. They would continue to use my American number. So I set them up one by one, making in the new phone, making sure that, I had bought a new phone, by the way. Actually, this was helpful as well. This is my old phone. And I had bought the phone that I'm using right now, this is an iPhone 11, that's an iPhone 16. So the idea was that with the iPhone 11, I would remain intact, exactly as it operated, and I would keep my existing phone service in the United States until February. Remember, I'm moving to Japan in December. I would keep that service running until February, just in case I missed anything, and I could send authentication notices to here, which would still work in Japan because the T-Mobile account that I have set up allows for data use in Japan, no extra fee, up to a point. So back on track. So I have the new phone, I'm setting it all up, and I have the Authenticator app on this phone, and I duplicated the Authenticator apps on both phones. I did add it here as well. And as I was going through and getting the QR code, whatever it's called, the thing you scan, I would scan it on both phones in the same order. So these are basically, the phones are backing each other, or backup on each phone. So if I lose a phone, I've still got the other one with all the Authenticator stuff, see? So I went through, it took me about 2 days to go through each list in turn, make sure it was all working. So the piece of the puzzle, though, that was unsure was, the phone number. So that's why I had to wait till I got to Japan. I've been here for a week, and I've begun the process today of going again through all of those lists again. I added another column really to complete. It's a complete column. So the other one is ready column, ready for the move. The second column is the complete column, means I'm done. I've got my new phone number from my provider here in Japan. I'm going through that list one by one each again and updating them to use the new phone number for the SMS two-factor authentication. So I've got a double backup for all of my accounts. Authenticator app for those accounts that use it, and my Japanese phone number for two-factor authentication. As a triple assurance, once I'm done with all of this stuff, remember I have this phone in operation until February. I'm going to go through this phone, and I'm going to add my existing number from T-Mobile to Google Voice. So it'll actually remove it from T-Mobile. It'll take that number from T-Mobile, apply it to Google Voice, and I'll forever have that number as a backup, just in case I missed something, or just in case someone in the States that has my old number wants to call me. It'll ring through on this, or whatever device has it. So that's my strategy and plan for how I'm going to ensure that I don't lose access to my critical accounts and infrastructure. Of course, another piece of the puzzle of that would be to use a VPN also to keep my identity back in the States. So that's an extra layer as well. So many things to do. One of the things I guess that comes of getting older and having blown it a couple of times is that you get a little paranoid and want to make sure you do it right. All of this information is documented in my book, Retiring in Japan, which is a case study, anecdotal guide of how my wife Yumiko and I made our transition from the United States to Japan to retire. Thanks for listening in. I hope this information is helpful to you. All right, take care and happy retirement to you. Take care.